How's it going? It's Joey from Question the Quo. Today's video is going to be about basically be willing to take the loss as a man. When it comes to women, you always have to be willing to take the loss. We're going to go over 3 things men need to start doing / I guess stop fearing in today's video. Alright, so number 1 is editing. I think that a lot of men will self-edit, and by what I mean by self-editing is they basically won't be honest. They're basically lying to themselves and also lying to the women. They're not being straightforward. It's like when you go out with a woman and you are you're basically acting as if you're at a family get together. That's kind of how you're acting, right? And the reason why I think there's a problem with it is because men and women's relationship together comes from like sexual attraction, right? And you're on a date. So why are you acting like you're on a family reunion, or at a family reunion, or you're doing this instead of being more straightforward? Like, if I'm out with a girl, right? And it's a first date. I usually go to bars or a nice dinner on a first date. And it keeps in mind though, I don't really date unless they're already showing a willingness and interest in me. Obviously, that's for another video. But basically you're at the bar, you're out somewhere and stuff, and if you're not, even if it's just even if it is the first date, you're not touching her, you're not, complimenting her, like, hey, you got nice ass, nice, just stuff like that. And I do it, like, I just say it. And I think that if you do it as a man, you'll find out in the long run it'll pay dividends, and you'll basically will be able to weed through the ones who can't handle your honesty and your straightforwardness, and you will always just be able to be yourself, because that's what men are. Alright, so number 2 is your rules. And this is basically what it is if they're not willing to play by your rules, you don't play the game. And there's a movie, and you can probably find it on YouTube. You can find the movie clip. You can also find what I'm referring to is when Patrice O'Neal, the late Patrice O'Neal, rest in peace, the godfather of this, by the way, in my belief. He said, it's called War Games. The movie's called War Games, and there's a scene in it where it says the only winning move is not to play. So with that being said, as a man, unless you're playing by your rules, the only winning move is to not play the game. And you just don't want to, this goes back to kind of in the control of the frame, you don't want to be able to give up that type of frame control, right? You want to be able to choose the women who choose you. And that's kind of what number 2 is, just play by your rules, not their rules. Alright, and the last one's intimacy. Now I don't mean intimacy as in, like lovey-dovey, this, that, all that bullshit stuff. I mean, like, introduce sex as soon as possible, right? This is something men are always, it goes back into trying to friend your way into pussy. Do not do that. Introduce the concept of fucking on the first date. If she desires you the way that she should desire you, and you being the man you are, will be able to do this without any problem at all. And it does take practice, but you just need to be, again, willing to take the loss. And that's what I preach again and again, is just always be willing to take the loss. And that's kind of what this whole video is about. Alright, so to sum it up, just stop editing yourself. And what I mean by that is just be yourself. So many guys will try to puppy their way into a woman's love, or do this or do that. Just be yourself. If you feel like saying something, or you're attracted to something on her and you want to say it, say it. Because if you're not going to say it and she reacts, you say it later down the road and she reacts to it in a negative way, you could have already weeded out the ones that have a problem with the way you say things, or the way you talk about her body. And you would have been able to get over that in the first, date or 2. So that's number 1. Number 2, stop playing play by your own rules. You need to basically control the frame, like we've talked about previous videos, but play by your rules. Women don't want to be the leader, they want to be led, right? Society may tell them, they can do this, they can be this, and they can be that. But when it comes to men and women relationships, they want to be led. And then number 3, we'll reiterate with be physical, like be show intimacy, introduce fucking on the first date, introduce physical contact on the first date, do things like that. You know, I mean, if you're just getting to know her, those are the kind of things you want to do, because again, going back to leading, you're the man, you need to lead. And I'm Joey from Question the Quo, guys. If you like the content you're seeing, hit us a like, hit us a sub, and we have an email down below if you guys have any video requests. And again, I'm Joey from Question the Quo. Until then, guys.